When you listen to music, what attracts you to a song? The beat, the melody, the lyrics? Welcome to Auditio Divina, Sacred Listening with Heart, a podcast sponsored by Resurrection Catholic Parish in Green Bay, Wisconsin. For centuries, Lectio Divina, or sacred reading, has served as a spiritual practice that has helped people to reflect upon the scriptures with a 4-step process. Katie and Tony, hosts of the popular podcast Revealed, also sponsored by Resurrection Catholic Parish, bring this ancient practice to the world of music. Through listening, meditating, praying, and contemplating or sitting with a song, the words and music come alive to add spiritual depth to the experience of listening. Let's join our hosts, Katie and Tony, as they lead us through this spiritual practice, ever ancient and ever new. Welcome to Auditio Divina, Sacred Listening with Heart.
Welcome to another episode of Auditio Divina, Sacred Listening with Heart. We've been off for a little bit, and I have to admit that's a little bit on me, craziness and busyness of life. And so what we decided, right, Tony, is that we're going to kind of rotate Auditio Divina into the rotation with our other podcast, which is Revealed.
Yeah, so don't be too hard on yourself, Katie. Of course, life is busy. But yes, we are going to wrap this into the regular rotation. As with Revealed, we look at the lives of people and organizations and prayer practices. But then with Auditio Divina, we look at and listen to songs and see how the sacred is revealed in the songs that we listen to.
Yeah, and editing 2 different podcasts so quick together really was getting down on me. So I appreciate that we made this decision.
Anything to make you happy.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. So, Tony, why don't we go over, because it has been a little bit of time, let's do a quick review of what Auditio Divina is in the process, please.
All right. Sure, Katie. So not to make this sound too much like school, but I will do just a quick review of what Auditio Divina is all about. So it is a 4-step process that comes out of a prayer practice known as Lectio Divina, age-old, ancient prayer practice. But we have changed it just a little bit to listen to music. And so the first step in the process is called auditio, just like the title, Auditio Divina. Auditio is a Latin word that stands for listening. So the first time that we play a segment of a song, and just a clip, not the whole thing, we're going to be listening for a word or a phrase that really sticks out to us as we listen to that clip. We're going to go back then and listen to that segment a second time for the second step, and that is meditatio. Meditatio is Latin for meditation, and so what we're going to do is reflect on, why does that word or phrase stick out to us today? What's the meaning there for our lives? The third step, after listening a third time to the clip, will be oratio. Oratio is Latin for prayer, and so we're going to sit in prayer with our word or phrase for a time, and we'll do that together on this podcast. And then we'll listen one final time, a 4th time to the song, and we will engage in what's called contemplatio. And contemplatio is Latin for contemplation, kind of obvious. But in contemplatio, we are going to be just sitting with our word or our phrase and letting that sink deep into us. So those are the 4 steps of Auditio Divina. And so let's get started.
So the song that we are going to be breaking open today is called Dance with Everybody by Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors and the National Parks. And I love the story of how we first heard about the song, because you're the one that heard it first, right, Tony?
I did. I was driving to church here one day, and I think it was a Sunday morning, if I remember right, and I was listening to one of my favorite stations on Sirius XM radio, Margaritaville, the Jimmy Buffett station, and the person introduced this song and really instructed us to listen to the lyrics. That's what Auditio Divina has done for me, though, just naturally, is that I listen to song lyrics a little bit deeper and a little bit more intentionally. And so with his invitation, I listened to the lyrics and I said, this could be our parish theme song. And so I came to church very excited to share it, and we did share it with our staff, and everybody kind of agreed this would be an awesome Resurrection Parish theme song. Just one thing, Katie. What's with the name of this band? Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors and the National Parks. They need to go to English class, evidently.
Well, it sounds like it's actually two groups. So it's Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors, and then they have a guest band on there, the National Parks. So it's a collaboration between multiple musicians.
Oh, got it. All right. Well, we are going to waste no more time. We're going to get right into our song, Dance with Everybody by Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors and the National Parks. Let's listen for a word or a phrase that strikes us most as we listen to this portion of the song.
Let's put aside our differences, lace up our shoes. Let's narrow the distance between me and you. Meet me in the middle. Let's quit keeping score. I wanna dance with everybody who came through that door. This night is on fire like never before. I wanna dance with everybody who came through that door.
Well, welcome back, and we hope you really enjoyed the energy and the fun and just the great words that were put to music in this song.
And just like every one of our songs, we hope that you go on YouTube or wherever you get songs and look this one up and listen to the whole thing. But for now, we're just focusing on a clip.
Absolutely. Now we're going to share our word or phrase. So for me, the word or phrase that really struck me was narrow the distance.
And for me, the phrase that really struck me was meet me in the middle. We're going to play the song a second time, and now we would invite you to really be thinking about why did the word or phrase that most struck you, why did it strike you? So let's listen again to Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors and the National Parks with Dance with Everybody.
Let's put aside our differences, lace up our shoes. Let's narrow the distance between me and you. Meet me in the middle. Let's quit keeping score. I wanna dance with everybody who came through that door. This night is on fire like never before. I wanna dance with everybody who came through that door.
Isn't that just so energizing, Tony? I just love that. So now let's share our reflections, Tony, about why they kind of stuck out for us. For me, my word was narrow the distance. And I think the reason this really struck me was there's so much distance in our world between relationships, between communities. There's just so much distance. And if we can just come together, if we can narrow that distance and listen to each other, we're not going to, all agree. We're not going to be all holding hands and singing Kumbaya. But
I love that song.
Well, you can do that Auditio
From the
Divino.
70s.
Yeah, you can do that podcast on your own. But if we can just narrow that distance, and I really feel that the best way is through listening. If we can narrow that distance between different people that have different opinions, different feelings, if we come together and we listen, that distance gets narrowed. And when we narrow that distance, we're more apt to see the sacred. We're more apt to experience God living fully within us. And I think that's what our world needs.
Well, my phrase was meet me in the middle. And, similarly, sometimes when we get in conversations with people, we feel like we need to make our point and make it heard and make it agreeable with the person we're talking to. That usually doesn't work so well because ultimately we're out for a win. And maybe life doesn't have to be about I win and you lose. Maybe we meet in the middle a little bit more. So I always go back to the Stephen Covey principle from his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where he said, seek first to understand and then to be understood. So if we seek first to understand, we're probably going to meet in the middle a little bit better than if we come with the attitude of, I have a point and you're going to agree with me. Meeting in the middle means seeking to understand first and then to be understood.
To go off of that, I do have to share about my friend and I, where we are totally different people. We come from different backgrounds. We have very different ideologies. but we narrow the distance because we listen to each other and we don't try to change each other. We try to understand each other. And so I think that's what Drew Holcomb and the neighbors and the national parks are trying to say with this song. Wouldn't you agree?
And you're meeting in the middle.
And you're meeting in the
middle.
middle.
And you're dancing with everybody.
Dance with everybody.
All right. Well, we are going to listen to the song a third time. And after listening to the clip a third time, we're going to sit in prayer with our word or phrase. So let's listen a third time to Dance with Everybody by Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors and the National Parks.
Let's put aside our differences, lace up our shoes. Let's narrow the distance between me and you. Meet me in the middle. Let's quit keeping score. I want to dance with everybody who came through that door. This night is on fire like never before. I want to dance with everybody who came through that door.
So now just take some time to pray silently with that word or phrase.
Coming back from this time of prayer, we're going to play the song a fourth and final time. And this time, we'll be inviting you to just rest in the presence of the sacred and the holy with your word or phrase, and to be thinking about how will this word or phrase affect my life, shape my life this coming week or this coming month. So let's listen a fourth and final time to Dance with Everybody by Drew Holcomb and the Neighbors and the National Parks.
Let's put aside our differences, lace up our shoes. Let's narrow the distance between me and you. Meet me in the middle. Let's quit keeping score. I want to dance with everybody who came through that door. This night is on fire like never before. I want to dance with everybody who came through that door.
Now we invite you to just sit, to let that word or phrase just sink deeper and deeper. Well, welcome back from that time of just letting that word or phrase just sink deeper. And we hope that it really permeated into your soul, because now we're going to share how we're going to use that word or phrase to permeate in our lives throughout this week. How are we going to allow that word or phrase to change us for the better? My word was narrow the distance. And for me, I feel like I can be more aware of the distances in my life. Where are those relationships that maybe I'm a little further off? Where are those times in my life where maybe I'm further away from somebody that we could narrow the distance? And to make that effort to, take one step forward. Sometimes the other person may not step forward either, but I can step forward. It takes one person to step forward to narrow that distance.
And for me, I'm going to let my phrase, meet me in the middle, sink into my life deeply as best I can by looking for opportunities of when I get into situations where I want to be right or I want to prove my point, to take a step back, to really live the Stephen Covey principle of trying to understand first and then be understood. So to really listen to people and listen to their point of view, meet in the middle, and hopefully come to agreement about how we can go forward together.
Well, that is our podcast for today. We hope that you really enjoyed this, and maybe this is a great example of how we can pray with energy. This song was upbeat, energetic. We don't have to have a prayer life that is quiet and subdued all the time. Now, there's times for that, but we can also be exciting and have energy, and this is one great example of how we can pray with something energetic.
Another lesson to be learned this week, I think, is that let's be on the lookout for songs that we may not have heard before that might strike us and create a sense of the sacred and the holy in our lives that we had never considered before. And we might rediscover songs that we've heard a million times and to do the exact same thing. So that's how Auditio Divina works. Hopefully this time together has deepened your sense of the sacred and the holy in the ordinariness of life.
This is Katie.
And I'm Tony.
And we'll catch you on the flip side.
Auditio Divina, Sacred Listening with Heart, has been a production of Resurrection Catholic Parish in Green Bay, Wisconsin.